Barcelona are in the race to win 3 trophies this season. However, I'm going to tell you that La Copa del Rey might not be one of them. And I'm really scared about this game. Let me explain to you why. The problem is that Real Madrid, this version of Madrid, is not the same that Barcelona has smashed before earlier in the season. They're going back to basics. You know what? That makes them dangerous again. I've watched every El Clásico for the past 10 years, and I can tell you that whenever Barcelona controls the rhythm and the tempo of the game, Real Madrid fall apart. And in this game, they're going to be missing key players. That is why in today's video, I'll explain to you why Lewandowski and Alejandro Valdés both injury could potentially be beneficial for Barcelona when it comes to overcoming Real Madrid. However, how it also changes the entire game plan of how Flick approaches his second final. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? Bullies here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And La Copa del Rey, my goodness, I'm very nervous about this game. I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous. I know we've beaten Real Madrid plenty of times before, and I want to just come in here into this game completely unbiased. When I look at Real Madrid and when I look at what they are suffering, when they look at the opportunity that they have in their hands, it reminds me a lot of what we've been seeing with Manchester United and Manchester City in the past few seasons. You know, United always had the opportunity to spoil Manchester City's treble plenty of times, and they did it plenty of times. They did it as well. So I think something similar could be on the horizon maybe for Barcelona. Let's hope that isn't the case. Let's start with the main point. We all know that Lewandowski is not going to be playing in this game. Ferran Torres will be the guy, the main man, the main striker, the main number 9 for Barcelona in the Copa del Rey final. And for me, this changes completely everything because Ferran Torres is not a proper, he's not a proper striker. He's not a proper number 9. He's more of a forward, an advanced complete forward, you could say, someone that likes to drift to the edges of or to the left, to the right. He likes to drop a little bit deep. He's not a proper target man. He's not someone who in the box is going to be your poacher. The 2 goals that Lewandowski scored against Dortmund in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, yeah, Ferran Torres, he ain't going to score them. He ain't going to score. He ain't going to score a header between 2 big center backs. He ain't going to score a low-driven shot. He ain't going to do that. He needs a little more space to work with, but in return, he is a little bit better when it comes to circulating and doing runs off his marker. I think that's something that Ferran Torres is far better at than Lewandowski, but it changes the game plan quite a lot. Throughout the season, I've heard a lot of things. Some statements like Lewandowski being out might be actually the best thing that can happen to Barcelona all year. I'm not quite sure I buy into that. I kind of want to, but I don't. I really don't. I just want to kind of pose the question, though. Does Ferran really give more tactical flexibility to Barcelona than Lewandowski? I think certainly Ferran Torres does give more flexibility to the team. But when it comes to these big instances, like we're talking about Robert Lewandowski, I think that people just are too naive, perhaps, to signal Lewandowski out. We're talking about one of the greatest strikers ever in the history of the sport. I think he's only like 8 or 6 goals away from becoming the 7th biggest scorer, like the top goal scorers in the history of the sport. I'm talking about the people with the most goals ever in the history of the sport. He's up there. So we're talking about a prolific goal scorer, someone who at the age of 36, 37, he's still competing for the title of the best striker in the world. He's probably one of the only players that he's a legend at every club that he's played at. And yeah, this is no easy feat. It's not somebody easy that you can just replace like that, you know? And Ferran Torres certainly is not that caliber of player. And when it comes to a final as crucial as this against your rivals, I certainly do think that I would like someone like Robert Lewandowski in the team. With that being said, Ferran Torres, you know, I'm a very big fan of the Shark. I'm a huge fan of the Shark. I even have a little shark as my keyring. It's not Ferran Torres, but it kind of makes the deal. It's a little Lego shark. I'm in love with Ferran Torres because I love his mentality. I love his 17 goals and 4 assists this season so far in 1,460 minutes. We're talking about an absolute monster, an absolute mentality monster. And I think that's the sort of players that we need more of in today's sport. And basically, you all need someone like that. You need someone who's your battery, someone who's your vitamin. You've heard that word, like your person who's a vitamin. In Spanish, you have your persona vitamina. Yeah, that's Ferran Torres for me. Even though he's like miles away from my house, yeah, he is that for me because he motivates me to do better. So for me, Ferran Torres, he can be an incredible footballer. He can really live up to the occasion. But is not the same. It's not the same as having Lewa there. It's not the same as having Tito. Let's look at it with a silver lining. You know what? Let's look at it with it. With Ferran Torres stretching the back line, Lamine and Rafinha will finally now get more room to dance. I think before, in some instances, even though this season has been stellar for both of them, there has been certain instances where Lewandowski turns to slow the game a little bit. Lewandowski gets the ball and maybe his first touch is a little bit too rough, too stiff. He doesn't really get the best pass, but even when I'm saying this, I find it funny because like even in the first El Clásico that we played this season, was it the first El Clásico? I think it was. He lay off the ball incredibly well for Lamine Yamal's goal, the third goal in the match. And then there's plenty of instances again that I can remember, good passes from Lewandowski. So it's interesting really to debate that. We can say that Lewandowski is maybe not so good with the ball, but it's interesting. Sometimes he just slows the game down and sometimes he does a class of magic. It's true that no fixed reference point definitely opens up more for the inverted wingers. And if Real Madrid are going to go back to basics, which we're going to be talking later on in this game about it, certainly I do want someone like Ferran Torres there moving in and around, weaving in and around Raúl Asensio and Rudiger. I can certainly see a battle like we saw against Atletico Madrid a few seasons ago, where Ferran Torres battled it out with Savic. I feel Ferran Torres battling out with Raúl Asensio here. I do think that that's something that can happen. I really do think that. And I like that. I feel that Ferran Torres does have a little bit of that spite that Lewandowski perhaps maybe is too much of a nice guy. Lewandowski always looks for the referee. He goes like to complain. He doesn't go to the player. He doesn't get into the player's mind maybe as much. I think Ferran Torres is the opposite. I think Ferran Torres can go and, create some spite. And we've seen it so far in plenty instances this season where Barcelona are actually more dangerous when we don't know who the striker is. When Dani Olmo plays the false nine, when Ferran Torres is there in the game. I'm just a little bit more nervous that we've seen those instances when it happens later on in the game. When we've had the ability to stretch the opposition and reduce their stamina, when they're a little bit of fatigue is crawling in, where you have fatigue already in the players when they've made one or two more substitutions and they're adjusting tactically. That's where we see these players really come in and have an impact, like Torres or Dani Olmo. But this time it's going to be from the start. And we've always seen from the start that it struggles a little bit. And I think that is something where I kind of want to pose the debate to you. I want to put the debate to you. For me, the main thing is like, would I keep Ferran Torres for a game like this? This is where a substitute striker is for, Do I trust Ferran Torres to appear in a game like this? I hope so. I really do. And I'm just going to put on my chips down and say, let's go with the shark today. Let's go with the shark. And you've already heard me talk about plenty of times. You've seen it before as well. I'm talking about the system that Real Madrid used to win the Champions League with. We saw Carleto Ancelotti talk a little bit about what they're going to be doing for this game in the Copa del Rey final. They talked about, first of all, how Fran Garcia is going to be their only left back. And I think that's a huge, I wouldn't say advantage for us, because Fran Garcia, although I think he's good going forward defensively, I don't think he's as bad as people say necessarily. I think he's actually their best left back in my opinion. I think he's better than Mendy. Mendy on his day can be amazing defensively, but this season he has been a shadow of his former self, and Alaba is not there either, so it's going to be Fran Garcia, no Camavinga as well. But he also mentioned a little bit how Mbappe was going, and if Mbappe is not doing well and he's not at 100% fit, I wouldn't be surprised that they go back to the diamond. They go back to the diamond midfield. And I'm talking Tchouaméni, I'm talking Ceballos, I'm talking Valverde, I'm talking Bellingham, with Vinicius and Rodrigo up front. That's the lineup that they won the Champions League with. And that's a lineup that Barcelona has never beaten. And this is a fact, guys. Madrid play the best football when they are not trying to be fancy. Do you guys believe, are you in my boat, that this would be harder to break down? I think that this Madrid version is one that Barcelona generally tends to struggle with. We haven't seen Flick's Barça against them. That's 100% certain. We haven't seen them against them. We saw how Pep City kind of managed a little bit, but even though Pep didn't play as a high line as we're doing right now, so it's going to be very interesting because Madrid are going to be looking to soak our pressure and just attack us with two very quick players in Vinicius and Rodrigo, and packing that midfield with an extra player there. I think it's going to be a little bit of trouble for us. We're going to need very good movements from Torres once again, from Ferran dropping in deep, or Lamine Yamal, Rafinha cutting inside. We're going to need Pedri to be on point. We're going to need Frankie de Jong to be on top of his game as well. His press resistance or press resistance. Is that a quality? The way that he's able to resist the press by having the dribbling the ball very close to his feet, I think that will be very crucial as well. The blueprint is problematic because they're going back to basics, and I think that it will be harder to break down. The other problem is that, of course, Barcelona are going to be out without Alejandro Balde, and Alejandro Balde, like it or not, I think it's going to be a player that tends to open up the pitch way more. I mean, he's one of the fastest players I've seen. He's one of the best dribblers one-on-one that I've seen. He likes to just grab the ball and burst with his speed forward like like a bullet, really. He's insane. And not having him in the squad, you lose so much because you lose someone who's very good and very good recovering his position as a defender because he's fast going forward, but that speed serves you, going back as well. So it helps you to get back your position. He's good when reading the offside trap. He's already known that for a while. Gerard Martin or Hector Ford, whoever is going to start, and I can guarantee you it's going to be Gerard Martin because Gerard Martin was rested in the game against Mallorca, was it? Yeah, so he was rested in that game, so probably it means that Martin is going to start because Ford played. So yeah, Martin is not the fastest. He doesn't do that as well. He doesn't do it as quick. Defensively, he's not the best. I mean, he's a little bit taller, a little bit, stuffier. Maybe he can do something when it comes to aerial duels and that, but you just lose so much without Alejandro Balde. And plus, the connection that he has with Rafinha. Rafinha likes it so much to have Alejandro Balde there because it allows him to drift a little bit inside. Rafinha then has to do the job of going himself wide and then playing inside because Gerard Martin just doesn't do that. Gerard Martin just doesn't hold to the flank as good as Alejandro Balde. I think that's just a fact. They're different type of players. So it's a very big miss, that one of Alejandro Balde. And if he was 60-70% fit, I would just play him because I think Barcelona wins so much with him on the pitch. And Barcelona lose so much without him. But this is where we're getting to the point. And actually, before doing that, let's build the lineups, together. Let's do it. So right now on screen, this is the latest lineup that we saw in the game against Mallorca. So this is what we saw against Mallorca, guys. We saw Chesney, Eric Garcia, Araujo, Martinez. Eric Garcia is not gonna play, of course. I think it's gonna be Koundé. We all know that. So Koundé is gonna play there. Araujo, Martinez, Ford is not going to play. I think we're going to be seeing that replaced with Gerard Martin. Araujo ain't going to play either. It's going to be Pau Cubarsí. Then we have Pedri and Frankie de Jong, the other midfielder there. He's going to be playing alongside Pedri. I think Frankie de Jong here in this game is going to be very, very important. Dani Olmo might play. That's the question, whether he's going to be him or Fermín López. But I think if you have Dani Olmo fit, yeah, we've seen the quality that he has, right? And of course, Rafinha is going to be the other one on the left. So that's probably going to be the lineup that we are seeing from Barcelona in this game, right? Chesney, Koundé, Cubarsí, Íñigo Martínez, Gerard Martin, Pedri, Frankie de Jong, Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Rafinha, and Ferran Torres. If I could make any changes right now looking at it, people have been saying, and I've seen a lot of people talking about maybe Íñigo Martínez playing here and then Araujo playing here. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Íñigo Martínez is left-footed. Yeah, I like his passes. And maybe we can just tell Koundé to play more attacking, and just have this back sort of free with Martinez being the fullback. But I'm not really buying it. I'm just not really buying it. I'm not really buying it. It's going to be a little bit interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see if Barcelona are going to line up like this. But like I said, Gerard Martin is probably going to be the player who makes it. In the case of Real Madrid, like I've been saying throughout the entirety of the video, I think they're going to go with... Let me just see if I can just bang. Okay, Courtois. Let me put for like the diamond midfield. Vinicius, they're going to play with Rodrigo up top. Let's do it from the top to bottom. Let's do Bellingham here. Let's do Tchouaméni here in the middle. This guy is going to be Bellingham. No, this is Bellingham. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. I haven't used this lineup builder before. And then Ceballos is going to be playing. I think Dani Ceballos is really good when it comes to these sort of games. Actually, whenever they pack the midfield, I think Ceballos is one of the best because he controls the ball. Literally, he's the only one that gives some sort of rhythm to the play of Real Madrid. So I think this will be the lineup of Real Madrid. I think this will be the lineup. Mbappe could enter later on in the game if they're struggling, but I think this is the lineup. And if I was Ancelotti, I would do this. I would use the excuse that Mbappe is not fit 100% and tell him, you know what, Kylian, Kiki, you're not good enough right now to play physically. So let me play with what I played and won the Champions League 2 seasons ago. This is what I would do if I was Ancelotti. And as you can see, this is a very different Real Madrid, and you can just see that this is already this is much closer to what they had last season. Of course, no Carvajal, of course, no Eder Militao, and of course, no Ferland Mendy. But no, you could say no. Maybe Modric could play instead of Ceballos. But yeah, I think this is going to be a much tougher Madrid than the ones we've seen previously. I just wanted to point that out for the 5th time in this video. But anyhow, this is where tactics and this part of the video gets you like until 70%. You know, tactics gets you 70 minutes in the game. Then mentality will get you to the 90, and it will win you the game in 120. That's where mentality works. And I think that from what we've seen, if Barcelona reaches that point and they're winning or they're struggling or they're in that point, Barcelona's mentality has just been intense. And that's where I think Barcelona wins the Copa del Rey. I think that's where Barcelona takes to the next level. I think that's where the game plan might change, but Flicksman and the mentality is just too good so far. Like the remontada against Celta Vigo just told me, it's like under pressure, they just work so good. Rafinha, the amount of times he has pulled this team out of the back. Pedri as well. Nah, tactics will get you 70 minutes, but mentality will win you 90, will get you 120. They'll win you games. And right now, Flick mentality, I think that if they're losing, they're drawing, they will have that spark to go forward, to keep pushing, to win the game. Whilst Real Madrid, if they're struggling and they're reaching those minutes, I think that's where they're going to drop a little bit because of the season that they're having. And that's where the present affects you quite a lot. So that's my key as to why Barcelona might scoop La Copa del Rey final, maybe in the last few minutes of the game. My final prediction, Barcelona 3, Real Madrid 2. It won't be easy. It won't be pretty. But it just might be enough to win La Copa del Rey and continue in the treble dream that Barcelona want to get, of course, this season. Barcelona win by exploiting the wings, controlling the tempo of the game with an incredible Pedri, and suffering smartly. That's my quote. And this isn't going to be revenge once again. This is just going to be evolution of the game. I think that this is one of the games that could potentially take Barcelona even further, and maybe they're going to need that for the semifinals of the UCL. I think every game teaches you something, and this game can potentially teach Barcelona even more things to win. They could struggle, maybe similarly to another team like Arsenal, maybe who knows, PSG. So they need to know how to win games. And I think this certainly will be remembered. Do you think, guys, will this be remembered as one of those moments where Barca become the champions? If they're able to win this game, I certainly do think this is a turning point. Or not a turning point, because Barcelona are doing good, an influx point to go higher and better and reach the top where we want to be. So guys, if you want to watch my reaction after the game, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You're going to get that in return. So be sure to get that, because you can either laugh my ass off when we lose, or you can cry with me, or you can celebrate with me. So win-win for everybody. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.